sound so done already.
This has been a terrible fucking day, and I look forward sincerely to making fun of this movie with you for however long, because, ladies and gentlemen, we present I don't even want to put the real world name on this, because if Mike Thomas finds out we spent time talking about it on a podcast, he'll probably just ban me from the site. But we're talking about Catwoman, aka The Perils of Gambling. My name is Matt Waters. I'm joined by Ben Phillips. Ben, how are you?
I'm good.
Yeah? Well, you won't be soon.
I watched this movie like a week and a half ago, so it's not fresh in my mind, which is probably the best way to discuss this movie.
To give some background, Ben and I did a podcast called Ben and Matt's Marvelous Journey, where we went through every film in the MCU. Ahead of Infinity War, we had a crossover with another podcast called the Superhero Pantheon, wherein we made a wager about we basically took turns picking people we thought would die in Infinity War, and made some stakes. And it was deemed a tie, and therefore they have put Iron Man 3 in the Superhero Pantheon where it belongs, and we are being forced to review Catwoman. Because it's like The Ring, you know, like you watch it and you have to make someone else watch it within 7 days or you die. I don't think I watched it within a week of you watching it, so I think you're actually dead, Ben.
Probably.
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 I've got a few days left. So the most important question, what did you do instead of paying full attention to it while watching it?
I sat and played Pokemon Moon.
Nice. I was also playing some Nintendo. I was on a Switch. You were on a Switch, I assume.
No, I was on a 3DS.
You were on a 3DS, there you go.
I realised I never finished Pokemon Moon, so I buckled in and I'm doing some grinding. But this isn't a Pokemon podcast, and no one wants to hear about what Pokemon grinding involves.
So, when you get your I don't even have the know-how to even engage you in this conversation. So this is one of the very worst superhero films ever made. Fun fact about Matt Waters, he actually does not like to be a very negative person. I don't like just piling on something, but even it turns out, have my limits, because this is a big pile of trash.
I have promised I will say one nice thing about this movie.
I have a game for us at the end about who... we will take turns attempting to say positive things, and go until someone cannot anymore. I think I will beat you if you only have one. My biggest
stick around.
My biggest question about this movie is who the fuck was it actually for? Because it's like, hey guys, you want to fuck Halle Berry and leather? Well, kind of, but also here's this office rom-com about like graphic design and makeup, but also, you know, male academia, am I right? And
it's like they looked at this movie and were just like, oh, we can't have a female-fronted superhero movie which tries to engage with feminist discourse.
For 2004, sure.
If we don't have lots of TNA in it. So you look at... I mean, I sent you a picture of what her costume looks like quite early on into this, and it has no back. She's wearing a bra.
Yep. She had a hand in helping to design it, so... There you go.
Maybe Halle Berry wanted to wear this off the set, and this was just a good way to get someone to make the thing that she wanted to wear off set. And fair fucks, you got Warner Brothers to pony up a lot of money to design this for you. I'm just sorry that everyone had to suffer through watching this movie, making this movie.
Yeah, and it's like, it's a superhero movie, but it's also, as I said, this it gave me some real How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days kind of vibe. It's like a really shitty Devil Wears Prada for some of it. And she undergoes a makeover, and then there's these meet cutes, and the soundtrack goes from Mystique, little-known British pop act, to Hoobastank. What is it? Who's it for? I don't understand. So, released July 23rd, 2004. So that's coming off the back of Spider-Man 2, but just ahead of Blade Trinity, so a nice downward trajectory in superhero movies of that year. It had been 70... Is
it downward, or does it bottom out and then actually comes up a little bit when you get to Blade Trinity?
There's some... You can have a good time watching Blade Trinity, I guess.
As you guys did on your Blade Trinity podcast.
Yeah, record-breaking numbers of minutes recorded for that. I think it was longer than the Blade 2 one. That was 18 minutes or something. So this released 7 years after Batman and Robin. And the only things really popping in the superhero game were the Spider-Man films and the X-Men, because, I mean, you had Daredevil, you had Hulk, you had Punisher. I should really rewatch Ang Lee's Hulk at some point, because I've seen it once, and it was a very long time ago, and I just...
Some people are massive fans of it.
Yeah, I know.
I feel it's one of those ones where, like, some people hate it, and other people are just like, no, it's actually really comic booky and kind of good fun.
Yeah, it's probably not as bad as I remember, but I just think all superhero movies of this era were on some level quite bad, even the good ones. Like, I know I'm like the guy that bashes those Spider-Man films a little bit too much, but I think even the staunchest defender of those would have to admit there's just a little bit of like shittiness about them, because...
I mean, there's a little bit of shittiness in them, but I think it's all to do with just early 2000s kind of filmmaking ideas.
Yeah.
Like, we're in this kind of very weird post-Matrix era where every movie kind of has to be the Matrix, but no one really understood what made the Matrix work, so it's just like,
and had like half the budget.
Yeah.
Nowhere near the number of stars. Yeah, I broke my Twitter silence to sort of live tweet this a tiny bit, and one of my observations, this is so a film of this era, because I can't pin it down, but it just super reminds me of like any early thousands actiony sort of superhero-y type film.
You could chuck this on in like a viewing session with like iRobot and Constantine, and like it wouldn't feel out of place. I mean, I think iRobot and Constantine are both better than this movie, but
I did not murder him. It's 104 minutes long, which is a small mercy, I guess, because films were much shorter then than they are now. $100 million it took to make, which is the same budget as Batman Forever, and $20 million more than Batman Returns. And it made, drumroll please, $82 million, which does not account for marketing costs. So, great big fat loss.
I think you're forgetting they did make a video game, though, which I'm pretty sure probably recouped its entire budget.
No, that video game is one of the worst reviewed video games of all time as well. I believe they did some really weird business with like selling like a chain of something in order to make the money. I don't know, it's bizarre. Directed by Pitoff, who is a... What?
Just hearing you say his name out loud.
I've never said his name out loud.
And actually dignifying him with...
Pitoff. A visionary of the visual effects world. He has primarily worked in his native France, but he did work on Alien Resurrection. So, written by, I say that generously, John Brancato and Michael Ferris, who worked on Terminator. Which ones, though? 3 and 4, so... Yeesh. They also worked on The Game, which, you know, I guess... You do luck in. I guess everyone's got one good one in them, you know. Like,
I mean, that's the script that they've had sat in their drawer for years and years and years. It gets made, and then other people come to them and say, "Hey, write this movie."
Well,
and
she got nothing, literally nothing. The Terminator's a lady now. This one cries when he hears Alice in Chains. I don't know.
I will give them that the end scene of Terminator 3 is good.
Dope, fucking dope. Best good scene in a bad film possibly ever. I have no way to substantiate that. Someone make a better list. I'm sure What Culture and all those people have done it already. John Rogers also wrote this film. He wrote The Core, and he has a story credit on Transformers, so he managed to get work out of this on Transformers. And I don't know if that's a win or a loss, but there you go.
Matt, he co-created Jackie Chan Adventures.
He did. I had it written down and was like, there's not time. We'll go on a tangent, but... Yes, let's talk about Jackie Chan Adventures. What a dope cartoon that was.
Oh, it was so good. It taught me what the Chinese Zodiac was. I feel like a lot of my knowledge of Chinese culture when I was like a preteen came from this show, which is horrifically racist of me, but...
True. Thanks, John Rogers. Teresa Rebeck, who she only has a story credit, and honestly, which is worse, the story or like the actual writing of this? Because...
I think she gets like a story credit because she was just like, what if she worked in a magazine? And then they've just like, okay, cool, let the men write this.
Yeah, we'll show you what working in a primarily female office looks like. Right, so they were talking about a spin-off from Batman Returns since 1993. Tim Burton and Michelle Pfeiffer both supposed to come back. even though Michelle Pfeiffer said she hated wearing the costume from Batman Returns.
Can you blame her?
No, that thing is ridiculous. Scenes where she has to lick it are quite gross. Daniel Waters, who wrote Batman Returns, good last name that, he turned in his mature script for a Catwoman movie on the day they released Batman Forever, which he admits was a pretty bad move because it's like these two are in opposite directions. So obviously everyone involved dropped out, and there were talks about it still for many a year. Until 2001 when Ashley Judd was attached. Close call. She also dropped out. They considered Nicole Kidman but landed on Halle Berry, and the rest is sort of history. They had to pull a trailer that they put out because it had such negative backlash, and they had to do reshoots a month before the film came out.
So I have a question for you, Matt.
Sure, go. Ask me questions.
So Nicole
Preferably
Kidman...
not about Catwoman.
Nicole Kidman was obviously considered for this movie.
Yeah, that wouldn't have worked though, because I mean, she had her amazing turn as Chase Meridian in Batman Forever.
So she obviously won her Oscar famously a few years down the line. Far too late. She should have won it. Has she won an Oscar?
Look it up. We'll leave the raw audio of you looking it up in, because anything to not talk about Catwoman.
The Hours.
The Hours. Yeah, that sounds
Is it The
right.
Hours? Yeah, okay. I thought she won it later than that. I thought I was getting my actresses confused. I was going to ask whether or not she'd win it for Catwoman, but she'd already won an Oscar by the time Catwoman came out. Continue. I was going for like the Halle Berry would... Right. Because Halle Berry obviously won the Oscar the year that...
Yeah, she sure did. She sure did. So this is the part of the show when we're reviewing things we like, where you get to talk about the history of the comic book counterpart. So why don't you give us a brief rundown on the 70-year history of Catwoman?
So Catwoman is actually one of the original characters from the Batman comics. She debuted in Batman #1, June 1940. Good old Selina Kyle.
Well, in that case, I'm going to have to stop you, because Selina Kyle is not in this movie, which was brand new information for Matt Waters when he sat down and watched it. I legit have been walking around for years thinking, yeah, she played actual ass Catwoman, but no. She's playing Patience Phillips because reasons, again. I guess that's the saving grace of all this, is that she didn't sully the good name of Catwoman, because she is not the Catwoman. She is a Catwoman.
It's so confusing. There's no reason for her not to be Selina Kyle.
Wow.
Unless...
I can think of a couple of reasons.
I mean, yes, but, unless they are, in the back of their mind, Warner Brothers are going, Michelle Pfeiffer might come back at some point. Mm-hmm. They're just terrified to reboot it, or, more insidiously... we can't let black woman Halle Berry be Selina Kyle.
You made an interesting point that this kind of predates the era of reboots. And so, ostensibly, all those Batman films are canon and all happened. I don't quite know how you can justify, George Clooney, Val Kilmer, Adam West, Michael Keaton... all being the same human being, but, changing Michelle Pfeiffer to Halle Berry is way too far because racism, but I don't want to think it's because of that they were well, you can't be Selina Kyle because Michelle Pfeiffer is Selina Kyle. And I'm going to say, I know people fucking love that movie, and if you've listened to the Tape Crusaders, the podcast myself and Mike Thomas did, reviewing pretty much every Batman movie, you'll know I'm pretty down on Batman Returns. I really fucking hate Michelle Pfeiffer's portrayal of Catwoman. I think it's so hammy, and maybe that's where people like it, but the bar is very low for me to impress me as Catwoman, and yet...
I love Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman.
It's so hammy, Ben.
I know it's so hammy, but, I just have memories of being, watching it on a shitty VHS recording off the television and fast-forwarding through the adverts, and just... the thing I remember most is just her getting pushed out the window and then being licked back to life by the cats. And then,
an homage given in this film.
Yes. But yeah, I just have very strong
Did
memories.
Child Ben really like the scene where Danny DeVito said, "Just the pussy I've been looking for"?
Child Ben had no clue what was going on in that scene, other than...
a literal cat.
Than Michelle Pfeiffer had a bird in her mouth.
She did. She did do that. I don't know. I can't fuck with it. I hate Tim Burton. But that's not... here, it's not there. We're talking about Catwoman. So, I mean, we're not going to go through every fucking scene of this movie because that's why make
I want to focus on the first scene though.
Okay, the history of cats.
Yeah, the history of cats. This movie legitimately opens with just in case you didn't know, here's all the things that cats have been involved with through history.
Cats throughout history. Ancient Egypt.
It's like a solid 4 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, with hieroglyphs as a background and like a National Treasure ass font over the top of it.
Doesn't the logo come up after 30 seconds and then we still get 2.5 minutes worth of
Yes. I would have liked it if they went with the full 4 minutes of cat history and then said Catwoman, just so that if it was on TV or something and you were just channel hopping and it was oh, what's this? Oh, fuck me! They make you sit through that. So she's Patience Phillips. She's a downtrodden graphic designer for a cosmetics company. She gets murdered for overhearing that this new product has very dangerous, very serious side effects. Makes you ugly. She's revived by magical cats, and then she goes over a complete personality change, gets superhuman cat abilities, learns she is the latest in a long line of cat women, investigates the conspiracy in an impractical leather costume, falls in love with a cop, evades capture after she's framed, everybody's brought to justice or death, and then she ends things with her cop boyfriend to go be free and be Catwoman. In what could have been a strong feminist message about owning your sexuality and all. No elegance whatsoever. Zero. Well, when you're sitting there, as Barney Stinson's mum explains the lineage of Catwomen to her, and tosses out this casual line about how she was a really respected academic, but, men be men. In a very apt line, you know how male academia, it's laughable. And just to see the picture of Michelle Pfeiffer drop to the floor, I swore out loud. I was like, fuck you. Are you actually... They're trying to canonically tie that sci-fi mumbo-jumbo from Batman Returns in with this, and it's gloriously bad. And Halle Berry...
Do you think that this implies that Michelle Pfeiffer has died at some point in between these two movies?
Well, I was just thinking, why not take this the whole way and say Sharon Stone is playing a married Selena Kyle? Just don't ever say her first name, always call her Mrs. Hedare, and then be like, oh, her first name's Selena and she got married and took his name. Why the fuck not at this point? Just go for it all. I don't know. I do not know. She was alive at the end of Batman Returns, right?
I mean, yes, she was. I'm just wondering whether or not, anyone involved in this movie actually read any Catwoman comics at all.
Fuck no, they didn't. Pitoff said how he didn't want to be, slave to them, and he wanted to do his own thing, and he considers it, she is just as much Catwoman as anyone else. Oh, and by the way, Julie Newmar I was offered a role in this film, and I have to assume it was as Ophelia Powers, the role that Frances Conroy got, because that's the only thing that makes sense to me. But yeah, Halle Berry does some cat acting. It is bad. The mood swings, the hissing at a dog, the playing balancing act on the sofa, and the worst thing of all, I fucking hate this shit. The sort of jittery head movements whenever anyone is playing anything remotely supernatural in movies. This shit needs to stop. It's like GCSE drama level of bad. But it's by far not the worst thing, because then I'm a basketball fan. And my people have been wronged by cinema a lot. And if I have to never see someone gain the ability to dunk out of nowhere in a film again, I'll be very happy, because I'm sick of it. I am fucking sick of it. It's in Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's everywhere. This is one of the worst things I've ever seen.
Look, I don't know if you know this, Matt.
What?
But the only way for a superhero to prove that they actually have skills is to dunk on someone on a basketball court.
It's to dunk. It's always a white person, a woman, or a child dunking.
I did not know that Misty Knight was supposed to be impressive in Luke Cage until she dunked on a kid.
Wait, she didn't dunk, did she?
I think she dunked.
No, she just beat him at horse. If she dunked in Luke Cage, motherfucker. I looked really hard for that gif of Dr. Cox flipping that table over after he killed all those patients. Couldn't find it. So I instead tweeted him smashing a guitar against the wall. That scene filled me with white hot rage. Yeah,
I'm watching it now. It is a joy to behold.
1-on-1, 1-on-1. Ooh, backflipping off a wall and being all like, "Oh, I haven't done that since I was a kid." What? You did a backflip off a wall when you were a kid?
Okay, so it's important. So you disagree on the basic level of this is not good, but this scene exemplifies everything wrong with this movie because, and it's the one thing I keep coming back to, the camera will not fucking stop moving.
Look,
it's like,
this is for exciting, sexy young teens who want to watch people do flips, and you can't, we're all hopped up on Ritalin, like we need to have our attention constantly stimulated by a moving camera, Ben.
It just doesn't stop.
It's fucking awful. Every moment of it is awful. And then her fucking telling Alex Borstein, what a waste, by the way, of Lois Griffin, and that even calling her Lois Griffin is insulting to her because she is a talented writer.
Everyone should watch Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. She's very good on that. It's on Amazon.
There you go.
It's better than watching Catwoman.
Well, that's a long list. And, being like, oh, I went all Shaquille O'Neal on his ass. Like, really? That's the reference you're going for here? Like,
I mean, Shaquille O'Neal was probably relevant in 2004.
He's absolutely relevant, but...
I mean, do you want them to mention LeBron James before?
No, but, like, say I went Kobe on him. Say I went, like, MJ on... Like, I don't know. Do you know who she's playing basketball with? She's playing basketball with Jonathan Pangborn from Doctor Strange. That's right. You're the lead in Catwoman. Boom. You're now supporting a character who gets like 2 minutes in a film. Your career's dead, Benjamin Bratt. Their reactions to him when he walks into that office as if he is the most handsome man to ever grace this earth. Very, very funny to me. Because he's not ugly by any means, but I just thought that was like really guys? We're going to pretend that she's not a complete knockout and like we're going to pretend he's Captain Stud?
No, because her hair's all messy.
Oh, of course. The handwriting expert tells us this woman's a fucking train wreck. She's sad. She barely showers. Small children cry when they see her. She should just kill herself. Now this hot mama, whoa, she does not play by the rules.
I feel like we're not showing just how dumb this is because the handwriting is identical.
Yes, it is.
Like the movie literally, like at one point the guy goes like, "Oh, look at the swoop on this." It's like, what fucking swoop? They're the same. Mm-hmm. They're the same fucking word written in the same fucking way.
Because she undergoes her sexual awakening when she gets these powers. Like she's meek and all like, oh, I'm very sorry. Oh, excuse me. And then suddenly she's like, "Hello, I'm wearing leather. I cut my hair. My handwriting's slightly different. It's not, but we meant it to be, but we didn't have time in production, so we just thought you wouldn't notice." Yes, that is
so what were the two? Sorry, one was on the bag of jewels she steals from the bank heist.
Oh, I don't fucking know, Ben. I was barely watching them.
I'm just trying to figure out what the other one was, because I'm trying to figure out whether or not the bag of jewels is the confident one, or no, the coffee's the sad one. The bag of jewels is the confident one, but she's Catwoman when she rides on the bag of jewels, isn't she? Yeah. So she's still confident.
Yeah.
But she's not confident because she's fucking regular.
And is she fighting crime? Is she just having some fun?
Well, no, she wanders to a bank because she saw a jewel that she liked. She goes as like to steal this,
things. Yeah,
and then runs into two guys who are burgling the jewelry store.
Badly. Yeah.
Why have they brought shotguns?
In case Catwoman shows up.
If I was doing a robbery, I would not bring a firearm with me. I know you can in America, but if you're trying to be subtle, do not bring a fucking shotgun.
Really? You want to critique the burglars in this film?
Yes, I want to critique everything.
Okay, cool. Alright, so costume does it? No. Sharon Stone is visibly bored throughout this entire film. Utter disdain. She allegedly answered phone calls while filming scenes and just walked off and had a conversation and they had to just wait. I don't know how that compares to Wesley Snipes wanting to just get stoned in his trailer, but both in the same year of production, I assume. Yes, she is our villain. It's bad stuff. She gets worse as she goes as well, which is not frequently a thing that happens. She starts off just sort of bored and bad, and by the end of it she's awful. Like that final fight is atrocious.
That was a final fight?
Yeah, they're one of the 3 fights in this movie, I think. It took them like 9 days to film that fight. I don't know.
9 days?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I had to do research. I feel our forfeit is way worse. Theirs is a correction of like what is the justice of the universe.
They get to watch a good movie and then complain about it. We have to watch a terrible movie and make it in our normal style, which we're not even doing. We're just kind of going off on tangents and ranting about.
There's a thing called decency, Benjamin. Yeah, she's bad. The whole thing where like she murders her husband, the Merovingian.
Lambert Wilson.
Yeah, it made me long for the Matrix Reloaded. Yeah, she murders him. She empties a gun into him, her words. And then she tosses Catwoman the gun and then calls her guards with a button.
Catwoman who's wearing gloves, by the way.
Yeah, by the way, no fingerprints there. Also, like, clawed, so double no fingerprints.
What are the claws made of? Are they supposed to be, like,
they look
diamonds?
like they're diamonds. Did she actually just steal from that jewellery place? Maybe there was a draft where she did that and they just couldn't be bothered to change the costume. The guards arrive in record-breaking time, like literally 5 seconds.
They're outside.
Yes. They did not hear her shoot her husband to death with many, many rounds of her gun. And yet they are there instantly. Real bad stuff. Real bad stuff. My favourite Sharon Stone factoid from this film, in a film where she answered her phone on the set, allegedly Benjamin Bratt was going to be the male lead in Basic Instinct 2, and she said, no, he's not a good enough actor, and I love that this film destroyed his career, literally. And I like that she was just sitting there not even bothering to act, and she had the temerity to say that this man isn't a good actor. Oh, Detective Tom Lone rhymes with bone.
So I want to say one of my favourite lines from the movie, which is
when... Are we playing who can say the most good thing?
Oh, no, this is not a good thing. What I'm about to say is not a good thing. This is just a line that stuck out to me when I was watching the movie, which is from when the police are investigating the crime scene. Mm-hmm. We get a scene of trying to name her.
Yeah.
Herb says she jumps around like a cat. What should we call her? Cat Chick. No, Cat Broad.
Cat Broad. I thought you were going to go with, hey, you may have lost your girl, but at least you got your man. Who the fuck wrote that?
Alright, also, Halle Berry pretending to be a cat is...
Her cat acting is really, really bad. The cat.
She eats 7 tins of tuna.
She does. She eats sushi really quickly.
She doesn't eat sushi really quickly. She eats the fish on top of sushi really quickly.
Sure.
She has none of that fucking seaweed.
That's true. I mean, very authentic cat acting. Her human acting, when she's being interrogated, also really, really bad.
I did enjoy that at no point does she sleep in a bed. Or at no point does she sleep in her actual bed, which is a very cat-like thing, because cats sleep everywhere but the bed that you buy.
Look at you, transitioning off this to talk about your fucking cat. Why does she break into her own apartment, Ben?
Because she's a cat.
Right. And they just live to create chaos.
Yeah, exactly.
The whole scene where she is like shimmying out onto the side of a building to save a cat that is in no danger whatsoever.
That cat is so chill. Yeah. And it's just like, why do you care? The cat is fine.
And then Benjamin Bratt gets from what apartment are you in to kicking the door in and saving her in like 2 seconds. Like, was he trained by the same guy that trained like Laurel's like guards to get there so quickly? Like, what the fuck is happening? We get a brief like, oh no, don't kill yourself. Like, meet cute. Like, that's their meet cute. Oh, I thought you were gonna jump off a building. So what are you doing later? If he genuinely thought that, that's really bad follow-up.
Hey, this girl's cute. Also, maybe suicidal. Let's try and bang her. In my position as a cop, as an authority figure,
I know what will fix her depression. This D. They actually filmed an ending to this that was more traditional because their edgy Hollywood, anti-Hollywood ending. They were scared about it, but there is a version of the ending where they just kiss and it's happy ever after. Go them, brave visionaries. Pit off. I've got nothing else, Ben. I can't. I mean...
She Googles cats at one point.
She does. What is the knockoff search engine she's using? Like, we lived through the era of Spider-Man using Bing, which no one has ever done on purpose. I don't know. Yeah, she sits there Googling. It's like the history of cats or something. Cats through history or something.
It's the most weirdly generic term.
Not like I'm having weird cat-like symptoms or anything... logical. She goes from I think she just Googles cats or something. And then she goes,
Yeah.
cats through history. I was like, wait, what? Where are you getting this from? And then she notices this cat that she tried to save. It's the same cat.
They do say it's a very rare cat.
Yes.
And I looked it up, and it is a very rare cat.
Egyptian Mao cats, right?
Yeah.
They go so far as to invoke the Bast, or Bast, depending on how white you are. So basically, this is kind of Black Panther, because that's the same god that gives T'Challa his powers, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so this movie is a pre-runner to Black Panther. Okay, so let's play a game. Who can say the most good things about this? Do you want to go first or second?
I'll go second.
Okay. I actually kind of like the fight choreography. Not so much the way that it's filmed, but maybe just the style of it. I dig the capoeira type vibes and her like leaping around.
Yeah, I mean, like there's only one fight scene that's good.
Yes.
Of the three, so they nail 33% of the fight scenes, which probably make up a solid 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
So 3 minutes out of 104 minutes isn't excruciating.
I don't even think that scene is 3 minutes long.
It probably isn't.
Okay, your turn.
I appreciated, after mainlining 19 Marvel movies, that the entire stakes of this movie were someone made a bad makeup product that makes people look a little bit worse.
But if you keep using it, you become a fucking supervillain. Like, you become Luke Cage.
But I just appreciated how low stakes it all was.
Yeah.
Like, the world wasn't going to end.
Yeah, it wasn't like this is giving people cancer and killing them. It's like, these people have some sort of facial deformity.
Yeah, if you keep on using this a lot. But also they implied that it is addictive, because Alex Borstein will not fucking stop putting this thing on her.
Yeah, I also completely zoned out on why she's even in the hospital. I mean, I guess because of the stuff, but like, what is the reason she gives?
She faints at one point because of the stuff.
I guess I was doing really well on NBA 2K at that point. Okay, I've got another one. It is branching off from my first one. The scenes where she's like leaping around the room and stuff don't look as terrible as you would think CG of a low budget of this era would look. I guess we can thank Pitof, the expert VFX person, for that. I won't say they look good, but they don't look as bad as you would think.
Yes.
What have you got? What have you got, Ben?
Sharon Stone probably got to wear underwear for this movie.
Yep, always a bonus. Always a bonus. Can I have that it's only 104 minutes long, so it's not like it was like an entire afternoon of my life or anything?
Yes.
Okay.
Catwoman got to do what we all want to do and go and beat up a neighbour who's being noisy.
Oh, shit, yeah.
But it turns out that's actually a legitimate business that she breaks into.
Yeah, like, what the fuck is with that apartment bar? Did they...
Like, she looks in a window and it looks like they're in, like, a very thin room. And then she goes over there and it's like, oh no, it's like 2 stories and there's a bar keg and, like, a bar over here and stuff like that and signs and lights.
No,
it's just like...
Fuck them. That was an apartment block, and then she got there and it was a bar because they forgot to change the script or something, or they couldn't...
But it's just the fact that, like when I was going there, it was just like, oh yeah, this is going to show her confidence and stuff like that. And then I don't know if that was the twist they wanted to do or anything like that she's actually, like, preying on, like, a small business owner who's operating probably legally, and she probably moved in knowing there's a fucking bar across the street.
Shit. I only brought 3. I did not envision a world where we'd get this far. I think I'm out at 3. If you have even 1, you win.
I appreciated that this movie was sexually positive about Alex Borstein because she gets her like hot doctor at the end.
That's true.
Like some of these movies probably like side off the like the dumpy best friend. And like she doesn't really get anything, but like no, she gets the attractive doctor who she's been trying for the entire movie, and
the entire movie, yeah, 20 seconds.
That isn't the worst thing that this movie does.
Do we respect Halle Berry for accepting her Razzie in person and holding
100%.
And her Oscar? Oh.
Yeah, Halle Berry being 110% game is the best. Like, she obviously realised halfway through that this movie is fucking terrible. And the fact that, I mean, how long did it take her to make a good movie after this?
I'll let you know. I mean, she's signed on for John Wick 3, so...
She did Robots, X-Men The Last Stand, Perfect Stranger.
Still waiting.
Things We Lost in the Fire. Frankie and Alice, was that good? No, that wasn't good. New Year's Eve, Dark Tide. Cloud Atlas.
Still waiting.
Movie 43.
Oh, man.
The Cool.
I think I need a cross-section of people that were in both a New Year's Eve, Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, one of those, and movie 43. And I need to know their career trajectories.
10 years. If you won't accept Cloud Atlas as good, then X-Men Days of Future Past.
Yes, that is a good movie. Give me that future hellscape with the OG X-Men. Fuck 70s X-Men.
And her best performance as Storm.
Well, okay, sure. This is also her best performance as Catwoman. So,
she was Storm 4 times.
Yeah.
Best of 4 is better than best of only.
Yeah, but think how bad she is in some of those. Do you remember when she was trying to do the African accent and then she just dropped it? Not in the next film, within the same film.
At least Alexandra Shipp hasn't had to do the African accent.
That's true. They wanted Angela Bassett for Storm. Why didn't they go through with that? Anyway, this is the section of Ben and Matt's Marvelous Journey where we assess the key faults with most of these films. So, Villain Watch. Sharon Stone took phone calls in the middle of scenes, and Lambert Wilson was doing a Meryl Streep impression. So, not good.
I want to nominate a villain.
Okay. It's off. Perfect sync. Awesome. In no way rehearsed. Were the villains of this film worse than the villains of the DCEU? I mean, also, sidebar, is Ares the best DCEU villain so far?
I haven't seen Justice League yet.
Oh, have you not? Okay.
No.
Spoilers, Steppenwolf isn't very good. The film is like,
I think that Man of Steel mostly gets Zod right.
I don't remember anything he said.
Michael Shannon as Zod is not the worst thing about Man of Steel. Doomsday is the worst thing about Batman v Superman.
That's true.
Ares is the worst part of Wonder Woman.
Yep.
And I don't know how to speak about Steppenwolf, but I assume he might be the worst part of Justice League.
What about the Enchantress's brother in Suicide Squad? And Enchantress herself.
I forgot Suicide Squad was a movie.
There you go.
The worst part of Suicide Squad is Jared Leto.
It's a high art piece featuring
Jared
a
Leto
contemporary
as the
love
Joker.
story between Jared Leto... No, you're right. Yeah, okay, so Villain Watch hasn't gone well for them here. But not a massive decline versus those films. The third act, as awful as it is consistently awful throughout.
When do you say Act 3 starts?
When she gets framed.
Okay, so when she gets arrested.
Yeah, sure.
So after she debuts her teleporting ability in the ballet.
Yes.
Where she just magically appears behind the policeman.
Yeah.
They're physically impossible.
She does do that.
Then she gets arrested.
Yeah, slinks out of the cell.
Yeah, she literally walks out the jail.
Yeah, that's bad. The final fight is awful. The ending is like a big wet fart. Alex Borstein gets that doctor, though.
I did also like...
And nobody tries to dunk in the third act.
No one tries to dunk in the third act, but I kind of liked the implication that she was like, her skin was really hard, so she hit the ground and didn't there's no wounds or anything. But that might just because it's like a PG-13.
Also, I don't like the trope where like the hero attempts to save the villain and fails, and then when they die, the hero's like, well, I tried. Off I go, Man of Steel.
This movie is better than Man of Steel in that I genuinely buy that Catwoman wouldn't give a shit at the end.
Sure.
Whereas Man of Steel, where he doesn't give a shit in the end, is...
And he's just smirking while a lady's like, oh, aren't you attractive?
One of my least favourite things that a superhero movie has ever done.
Yeah. Also, that was relentlessly long and featured a dubstep cannon that was going to destroy the world. So...
Oh, we should watch Man of Steel.
I really don't want to. Maybe if we make a bet for whatever Avengers 4 is going to be called... Maybe that can be the stakes. We have to review Man of Steel. And what can we make them do, those sick fucks who made us watch this?
Oh, I think of something.
Oh, and also, right, outstanding performance. I've just written ha 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 ha. So...
I have a nomination.
Okay.
I want to nominate Missy Peregrine.
Yeah, her first film credit as attractive campaign lady.
Yeah, who gets to have her face scarred by the beauty products.
Yeah. When Laurel sees her face and sees how ugly she is, she'd rather die. God, what a shitty film this is.
Yeah, she's literally uncredited, and it was between that, to be honest, and Janet Varney as Party Girl.
All right.
Janet Varney, voice of Korra in The Legend of Korra, everyone.
Fair enough. That's a deep cut, I think, for a lot of people who might listen to this. So, we did our due diligence. Fuck you, Drunky Soul. Fuck you, Superhero Pantheon. I'm sorry, Brian, I don't know your last name. Enough negativity, because the next time you hear Ben and I's voices, we are going to be talking about The Leftovers in our podcast, Countdown to Destruction. I have never seen The Leftovers. Ben has spent our entire friendship. Probably one of the first things you ever said to me was, hey, you should watch The Leftovers. Yeah, and you finally talked me into it.
I have Leftovers pop vinyl on my desk at work.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so July 15th, I believe, is our first episode. We will be talking about 2 episodes of The Leftovers for every podcast episode, leading up to a very special date that I have no idea what the significance of it is, which is why I named the podcast Countdown to Destruction.
Well, you'll know the significance of the date.
Yes.
In the first episode.
Right, okay.
Because they do talk about the date a lot.
Yeah,
But the significance of it being the year is the...
Yeah. Well, we'll see how that turns out, because normally my role is to do all the research and then go to you for the critical analysis, whereas here I can't really do any research because I will spoil it for myself. So...
Yeah, so I get to I get to be research monkey for this one.
You do. So check that out, coming soon. Speaking of Damon Lindelof Productions, right?
Yeah.
Every Monday from Broadcast Depth, our Lost podcast hosted by Kevin Ford and Ben Lundy. They are heading towards the end of Season 2 at the time of this recording. I assume I'll have it edited and up not far from when they're at the end of Season 2. So, yeah. Check that out. That helps get our numbers up. We went over 100 podcast episodes thanks to them cranking out content week after week. And then maybe me and Mike Thomas will do stuff here and there. But this has been far more minutes than I ever anticipated talking about Catwoman for. Thank you, Ben. I think you will agree we've been great sports in this bet that we actually, I think, technically won, and we will be proven
we have. Yeah, well, no, we are going to come back to this in a year's time and basically be like, well, all those characters you said were going to die are back alive now.
Also, one of the ones wasn't actually dead, but never mind. Anyway, yeah, that's this. Fuck off. Maybe watch Catwoman. Don't, though.
Watch The Leftovers.
You're dangerous, just get it up. The way you move, so scandalous. It's all about